Hello, everybody. So, the Manchester United 23-2024 season has been completed, and these are the player ratings of every single player. We'll be going through goalkeepers, starting 11, giving you stats from all the players and giving you an overall rating. I think it's interesting to see how some players have progressed this summer and see what will happen with them in the future of Manchester United. I think that's really important to see. You look how Erik ten Hag has inherited a group of players, brought in a group of players. Let's see how well they have done this season. So, without further ado, before we get into the rest of the video, don't forget to drop a like, comment and subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos. Let me know what videos you want to see. And let's get straight into it. So, we're going to start off with the goalkeepers. Andre Onana now, a first season that's had a lot of ups and downs. He was replacing huge shoes coming in when David De Gea left. I think he's had a bit of a shaky season, but towards the end of the season, particularly these past few weeks, I think he has been really, really good. I think it's been difficult. I think he's taken time to adapt as well. And as well as facing over 600 shots in the Premier League, it ain't going to be easy. Keeping 9 Premier League clean sheets, making a lot of good saves this season, some standout saves. I think it has been a decent season. Now, we're going through the ups and downs of all players as well. You look at the ups that he's had this season. As I said, I think his distribution massively improved. I think, yes, we brought him in late into the pre-season, but that doesn't really matter. I think he's had a good start to his Manchester United career. If you look at the downside, I mean, he did cost us going through in the Champions League, and he probably knows that himself. Some of the saves he made, some of the errors he made, didn't help Manchester United at all, and I think that he's probably at fault for that. But still, overall, I think it's been a great positive season. I think with the ups and downs that he's had, it's got to be an average 6. Yeah, it wasn't the best of seasons, wasn't the worst of season. I think going forward, I think he's got a huge career ahead of him at Manchester United. You can tell he's a first choice goalkeeper, everyone that Manchester United want, and a goalkeeper that's coming with a lot of pressure on his shoulders, but I think he's kind of lived up to that pressure. Now, we're going to go from right back, Dalot. Dalot, for me, an 8 out of 10. I think he's been our Manchester United player of the season. The consistency of his performances have steadied out this season. He's played at left back as well for the remaining few games of the season. At the start of the season, he played mostly at right back, and has been a key member of Erik ten Hag's team. He might not have got the most goals and assists this season, but I do certainly think the positives of Dalot is that he's young, he's up and coming. He's like 24, 25 now, but he's had 2 great seasons. Last season was kind of his first season settling in to playing full time, and this season he's gone up leaps and bounds. Look at his performances one-on-one defensively. I think he's massively improved, and that has been a huge error and a huge weak point in his game, and he's massively improved on that. His crossing ability is massively improved, and his ability to kind of drop into midfield. You look at modern fullbacks these days, particularly in the Pep Klopp system, the fullback look to go inside, and that's something Erik ten Hag has given the task to Dalot to do, and I think he's done that job really, really well. He's got hold of the ball, he's driven it through midfield, making some great passes, and he's just been a player who's given everything in every single game, and you can't say that for some of the Manchester United squad this summer. I think, as I said, his season's been an 8 out of 10. His season just improved, and it's a testament to him working hard. He's a professional player, and yeah, I think I'll be really, really happy for him being in the Manchester United squad next season, because he thoroughly deserves it. Now, Wan-Bissaka, he's had a bit of an average season. I think he's played some parts with obviously no left back. He's had to kind of fill in that right back. Listen, he's been okay. If you look at the overall season, he's just been average. I think he's looked okay in certain parts of the game that he's played, but he has looked weak at some points. His performances, they've just been average. Like I could say, like we know he's relatively good really good one-on-one and good defensively. We know that. How can he improve attacking wise? But ultimately, I think he's had a decent season, and I think he's thoroughly improved. Listen, he's someone who will probably be sold by Manchester United, but I think this season it's been an average 6. Now we move into the left backs. I mean, Luke Shaw, I can't really give him a rating. He's missed all of the season almost. Like he played a start but it's not enough. Malacia as well, didn't play a minute this season. Hopefully he'll be back next season, stronger and better than ever. Centre-backs. Now, we're going to start off with there's actually a lot of centre-backs to go through. We're going to start with Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire, now, an interesting one. I think towards the end of the season, or toward the start of the season, when we wanted Martinez and Varane to be the starting centre-backs, it didn't look like Maguire would get any minutes, or really the cup moments. I think Maguire, with the injuries that we've had at centre-back, he's done a great job to kind of fill in the moments that we needed him. I think you've got to give him a 7 out of 10 for a season in which he's been forced to play. And he's had a lot of injuries himself. He's played games where he hasn't been 100% fit, putting everything on the line for the shirt. And many people thought it'd be a very, very hard season for Maguire after losing the captaincy before the season started. Being linked away with the move to West Ham, it was very, very difficult for Maguire to kind of get any moments in the team. I think he's thoroughly deserved the praise that he's been getting because he has been fantastic towards the large parts of the season. So for that, I would have to give it... Actually, no, I would give it an average 6 as well. Just by the fact he didn't really play enough towards the start of the season. He's been injured as well for quite a few of the games. So, yeah, Maguire would be a 6 for me. Lindelof now. Lindelof, he's been injured as well quite a few weeks. So I'd give him an average 6 as well. Lindelof, someone I think Manchester United need to sell. But I will talk about that in a different video. But yeah, if I was to rate his season, it would have to be an average 6. He's played at left back in some games, centre back he's done okay, but not enough to kind of give it any higher than that. Martinez, I mean, I have to give it a 5. In the last few games that he's played, he's brilliant, and we know the quality Martinez has, but he's had 3 injuries this season and long-term injuries. Hopefully next season he'll be 100% fit because we're going to need him. I think he's a very, very good centre-back and he certainly have those qualities to be a Manchester United player. They're getting the right partner next to him is absolutely huge with Maguire. Obviously with Varane leaving the club, we're going to need a replacement next to him. But I do think Martinez is one of the key members in Erik ten Hag's build-up and he's a very, very good player in the games that he's played, but he just hasn't been available enough, so it'd have to be an average 6. Kambwala, an average 6 as well. That only played a certain amount of games, but I think he's a relatively young player who can certainly develop and be a top player in the future. He's only young himself. Jonny Evans, a 7 for me. He's played over 30 plus games, which is 30 more than probably expected. When Jonny Evans came into Manchester United, we thought we were just helping him out train, and then he started randomly just starting games. We got him on a contract. He's currently a free agent. See what happens. Will Manchester United continue to give him another contract, or will he leave the club? That's very, very interesting to see. I do think Jonny Evans is a decent player, and he does have some good qualities. His performances have been to a top standard, and yeah, for me, Jonny Evans would be an average 7 out of 10. Who else? Varane, for me, hasn't played enough, so I'd have to give it a 7. We know the quality of the player that he is, and we've seen it in the games that he's played for Manchester United, especially in the FA Cup final. If I missed anyone out, Maguire, Lindelof, Jonny Evans, Martinez. No, I think that's it. Now, we go into midfielders now. Casemiro, a bit of an average season as well. He's had some really, really good games for Manchester United where we thought he combust that game. And he's looked fantastic, but I think he's had way more bad games this season than good. You look at Crystal Palace away, up fault for 3 goals. Arsenal cost us that goal, that 1-0 loss. Yes, he's filled in at centre-back, but in the large games where he's played midfield, the drop-off has been massive. It would be a below average. It'd probably be a 4 for Casemiro. I think if you look at the long season, I don't think he has the legs in him anymore. I remember when we lost 4-3 to Chelsea, there was a moment where Chelsea were on the counter-attack and he's just jogging back. And the passion and the emotion that Casemiro has seemed to be lost this season. Maybe because he knows that he's leaving the club, that could be something on the cards. But I do certainly think with Casemiro, it's interesting to see how much he's fallen off from last season. I mean, last season he was one of our most important players. Him, Martinez and Luke Shaw were one of our key players in the defensive section of the team. And this season he's just kind of lost it. I think it's time up for him at Manchester United, and he will certainly leave. But yeah, he has not been good enough. Casemiro, his performances have gone to a level which I never thought I'd see. He's been one of the best midfielders over the last 10, 15 years, and that ability that we've seen has left his game. So yeah, a below average season by Casemiro. Amrabat, for me, as I said, last 5-6 games he's had a resurgence. When he came in on loan, we thought he would start next to Casemiro. We thought he'd be a guaranteed start in every Manchester United game. He hasn't obviously had that. And you can see with Amrabat, if you give him a 5, 6, 7 game period where he's playing consistently 90 minutes, you can see the performance and the quality that he has. He certainly does have that winning mentality, and he has got that quality. In the moments where Amrabat played early on in his Manchester United career, in the start of the season, I don't think he was quite 100% fit. And you can see that in his performance. Now, he's looked fit. He's established a very, very good partnership with Kobbie Mainoo. And he's a player that Manchester United fans just are screaming and urging for to be kept at Manchester United. And I completely agree. I think his performances are massively improved. And as I said, when you trust him and you give him that ability to go, I think he can do a really, really good job. He knows how to marshal that back line. He's a couple years younger than Casemiro, so we don't have to worry about age. I think he's 25, 26, maybe even 27. He can certainly marshal that midfield. And he's a cheap, reliable option, someone who Manchester United could have in their team. And I think he does have that ability to be in that Manchester United team. We've seen it in a brief loan spell. And I think the turnaround has been important. Many fans wanted him gone, and now many fans want him to stay. After Amrabat, we have McTominay. Now, listen, if you look at the start of the season, McTominay has never been a player who's guaranteed starting for Manchester United. He knows that and we know that. But he's definitely popped up with some great goals. There was a period in the season where the amount of goals he scored, he was just unstoppable. I remember 1 against Wolves, 2 against Brentford, 1 against Chelsea. And we know the goal threat that he can cause. I mean, he scored in the semi-final for us against Coventry in the FA Cup. We know that goal threat that he has. I do not certainly think he's a midfielder. And I think recently in the games we've been playing with kind of him and Bruno as the two false, or McTominay as the 10 and Bruno as the false 9. I think he has looked better when he's running onto the ball. He can really use his powerful strides, his physicality, and his holding up of the playability to help get players into the game. I think McTominay just hasn't played enough, and simply there's just better players, better quality players in that position. Sorry, I didn't rate Amrabat. I think Amrabat's been a 7 this season. McTominay is, yeah, there's players better than him, for me. So if I was to give McTominay a season, it would be rating would be an average 6. He's been largely poor in some games. We've conceded a lot of cutback goals, and he's been a part of that. And so is everyone else in the midfield, to be honest. It's not just McTominay, but yeah, McTominay does tend to leave the midfield open, and that's why Ten Hag has probably put him in a more higher up position in the team. Next, we have Mason Mount. I've got to give it a 5. I mean, he's been injured most of the season. I remember he played some few games at the start of the season in the Champions League. It does seem like a weird signing. I don't think anyone expected the resurgence and the development of Kobbie Mainoo, which I'll talk about next. But I think with Mount, he found it very, very difficult to start games for Manchester United. I think that's been the hardest thing for him. With the injuries, he came back, got injured again. It has been a very, very difficult season for Mount. I mean, he ended it with the FA Cup trophy. He didn't really have too much to play in that, but he certainly is a very, very good squad member, and I think he does have some very, very good qualities. I think he's good on the ball, and we know how versatile he is. And I think next season it'll be interesting to see where Erik ten Hag plays him. Because think about the team. You would have a number 6, Mount ain't playing there. You would have an 8, Mainoo's 100% playing there. And you would have a 10, where Bruno Fernandes plays. So Mount's probably got to do everything he can to kind of get into a that team, wherever that may be, wherever his preferred position may be, because Manchester United are strong in every position in the midfield for me. And I'm sure Mount does not want to be a bench warmer, someone who just comes on for games, so he's going to have to really, really push. But yeah, Mount has got to be a 5 this season. So the Mount, Kobbie Mainoo for me, it has to be an 8.5. I think he didn't play the whole season, and that was something that would probably mark it down. And that's not due to him. It's an unfortunate injury that he picked up. But I've talked about Mainoo so many times. The development that he's shown at Manchester United has been nothing but sensational. To go from a player who had a huge injury at the start to come in to be resilient, to start every game. And he's been undroppable since, scoring in the FA Cup final, scoring big goals for Manchester United when we needed him. He's been an absolutely gem in that midfield at 19 years of age. The ability that he has is fantastic. Just so calm, so composed on that midfield. Plays with a lack of fear. And yeah, he just does everything right. I think if you look at his first season, it can only go on up from here. And I'm excited what will happen with him at Manchester United next season. In what has been a relatively poor season by Manchester United so far, he's been a shining light in that season. Like going through the gears, he's only 19 to win a trophy in his first season. You can see Erik ten Hag communicating, talking to him about what's going on at the Carabao Cup last year, saying he would be a big part of the team, and certainly that's what he is. I think for me, he's guaranteed he can play 6, but I think in the games where you need someone to get on the ball to drive, I think having Kobbie Mainoo in that 8 is an absolutely brilliant factor and a brilliant player to have in that role. To think about, he's only 19, he's a fearful player, like a scary player with with a high amount of potential. And we can see him fulfilling that, to be in the Manchester United youth squad 2 years ago, to be in the first team squad at 19, doing a fantastic job. I'm so happy with Kobbie Mainoo, and I would give him an 8.5. It's been a fantastic season, and I think he can only go up from here because he's absolutely sensational. Eriksen, for me as well, a player who hasn't got enough minutes this season. I think before the injury, the big injury that he had, I think he was doing some really good things for Manchester United, and then that big injury happened and he wasn't really starting games, and that's where Kobbie Mainoo kind of took his place, where he got out injured. Eriksen, for me, the 2 seasons that he's had, I think they've been decent. The first season probably better than the second, as he was just more involved in that one. To get him on a free agent, I think he's been fantastic. I think he was the player at that time when Manchester United brought him in, the player that we needed. And he certainly has fulfilled that need. I think it's just the fact that he hasn't got the legs anymore. Similar to Casemiro, we know the quality of player that he is. He's a very experienced player. Won 2 trophies in 2 seasons at Manchester United. He has been a decent player for us. He hasn't got that legs. I remember in the Arsenal game, Ten Hag prefers to play him at the 6 as well, and I just don't think he has the legs to do that. He's always getting rammed past. Loads of cutbacks goals being conceded by him this season. And he is certainly a player that has struggled massively in games. I think he certainly, statically, when the ball's at his feet, he can dictate, probe the ball really well. He's a good player to have the edge at the box. But as soon as you get counter-attack, as soon as you have to run a bit, he just hasn't got that anymore. And it's understandable why he hasn't. But I'd just rate an average 6 for Eriksen. I don't know if I missed anyone else, but I'm going to talk about Bruno Fernandes now. A player who's got lots of hate this season, and in some cases been rightly deserved. Some of the performances he's put in this season have been below the standard that we expect from him. We know how good he can be, and that's why we have a lot of high expectations for him. He's the captain of the team, and we expect a lot from him. In the first 2 seasons, he got a lot of stats, and they kind of helped him. He was playing some good football as well, but he wasn't really getting the reward from it. He creates a lot of chances for the Manchester United team, and you can see games in this season where he was missing, how much that has affected us. I mean, he missed 3-4 games from injury, and yeah, you could see that. For me, he's an integral part of the team, and I think he should be at Manchester United. This season hasn't been the best, but he always seems to get the numbers when he needs to. I think he's got over 25 goals and assists this summer. When I keep this season, and he has been a very integral part of that team, playing in that number 10 role. He's played in the number 6 at times, number 8. He played off the right, left, false 9. Like, he's such a versatile player and pops up in all positions for Manchester United. He's 100% reliable. Can give you everything he has when he has the ball, and when he's playing for Manchester United. You can see how much he loves the club. Lifting the FA Cup trophy, lifting the Carabao Cup last season. He can only go up from here, and hopefully we can get another big trophy this season, because next season, it'd be so important. But I think Bruno, he's had a decent season. I think for me it would have to be maybe a 7. I don't think he's had the greatest seasons overall, but the goals and assists, the way that he plays, is absolutely fantastic. He played with his heart on his sleeve, a very emotional player, and I think he's been really important for Manchester United. Now, the attackers. Let's start with Garnacho. For me, Garnacho has been a 7 out of 10. No, an 8 out of 10. Actually, no. Garnacho's been the same as Kobbie Mainoo for me. 8.5. A lot of criticism has been faced on or put onto Garnacho's shoulders. Last season, he was more of an impact player coming off the bench. This season, he's a player who's played over 40 games for us this season. And that's due to other players being out of form. I think if you look at Garnacho, he's played on the left, on the right this season. And I prefer him on the right, if I'm honest with you. But obviously, he prefers the left. I think he's a very dynamic, skillful winger and had some really, really good moments this season. Look at the brace scoring against Aston Villa, the goal of the season against Everton, the goal in the FA Cup final. Some of the magic moments he has had on the pitch where I remember scoring in the Carabao Cup against Crystal Palace, some good goals. Like he's been a very, very good player for us this season. And I think the criticism's undeserved. He's a young player, his second season in first team football. I think you just have to let him pattern out. He's going to make mistakes, he's young, he's still developing. And I do certainly think the teachings that he's had, or the lessons he's learned this season, will be massively important for him going on to next season. He could see that. And I think with the reward, with scoring in the FA Cup final, getting that trophy, it was so nice for him to see. And I think Garnacho thoroughly deserves it. As an overall season, I think it's been a lot of progression by him. And at 19, he does have a great potential and a great future ahead of him. Hopefully he's at Manchester United. I would give him an 8.5. Rashford, I'm so disappointed with Rashford because the season he had last season was absolutely brilliant. It was like a world-class season, getting over 30 goals and assists. This season has got to be a 4 out of 10. Barely got any goals and assists. There's been some games this season where he looked like he's not trying. Like he just looks out of it. It's sad because Rashford's a player who has a lot of potential still. And I think when he's on form, he's an absolutely great player. We know how prolific he can be. But when he's not on form, it does so seem to go not the greatest for him. This season, I remember, particularly towards the start, he was getting pelters for not trying. I don't even think he started he did start the first game of the season, and he played striker. But like he was getting pelters for not trying, not going into 50-50s. And I do certainly think that there was a lot of things going off the pitch as well for Rashford. He did find it really difficult to kind of get into that same form that we've seen last season. He's got questioned a lot by fans this season, had quite a few altercations with them, talks about how much he loves Manchester United. He just haven't got back to that ability what we know Rashford can do. And I'm hoping next season he can get there because he can certainly get 20 goals and assists a season. We've seen him do it before on more than one occasion. Just about the inconsistencies that Rashford have, which really do disappoint me. Like it hasn't been the greatest season for him, and I think he knows that. I think he can definitely improve. He definitely has a decent amount of quality. And it's kind of hit or miss for him now. If he continues to have a poor season, he'll probably be in the shop window next summer. If he has a great season, he'll continue to stay. And I think Rashford, we know how much Manchester United means to him. He was crying at the FA Cup final when Manchester United win it. Like we can see on their face how much it means to him when he plays. But sometimes I think actions speak louder than words, and he's got to show it on the pitch. So yeah, Rashford has been a poor season by him, and I think he knows that. Martial, have to give him a 4 as well. Hasn't been available for 3 actually. Hasn't been available for most of this. No, I'm not even going to rate Martial. I mean, he scored he scored that one goal I can remember against Everton. But I don't think he's played like a full 90 minutes in a long time. He's leaving Manchester United. That's sad because I know how much of an important player he is, and I know what a great servant he's been to the club when he came in. But if he's not playing the game, I can't rate him. Højlund, now a great season, first season for him. He scored some great goals in the Champions League. Found it difficult to get started in the Premier League, but 16 goals in his first season is brilliant. And I think he can go up from here. And then we do need an experienced striker to come in to kind of work with Rasmus and to give Rasmus that time to adapt. And he doesn't have to feel like he has to play every game. I think when we do bench Rasmus, we have to put Bruno up there or Rashford up there. But I think if we have a different striker like a Watkins, a Tony to come in, it'd be so important. I think Højlund, we can see he has that raw ability. He's a clinical striker. If you give him the chances, he will score. I don't think Manchester United have given enough of them this season. I think we need to see more of that. We've seen what he can do when he does get the ball at his feet. He scored some great goals this season. And yeah, I think the potential for him at only being 22 years of age, or 21, he's been a striker that Manchester United have been eager to sign. and something that they've been missing. We've normally gone for the elder strikers, and I think Rasmus is a fantastic player, and I think he has a lot of quality. So yeah, a 7, I think, for a first season for Rasmus would be fantastic. On the right, Antony, a 4 as well. No, 3 actually. He's had some decent games, Antony. I remember that game against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. It was a great game by him. But other than that, has he actually done anything? Yes, he scored against Burnley, but it has been a pretty poor season by Antony, barely getting any goals and assists. I don't think he's had any positive sparks as well, and it's been a difficult season for Antony. He hasn't started many games, and he's been out of the team in big games. But I do certainly think there's got to be a big decision to be made about Antony. Does he stay? Does he leave the club? That's something that Erik ten Hag at Manchester United will certainly make in the next few weeks. And so, but I would actually sell him. But this season has been below the standard. So to his last season, I think something's got to happen with Antony. You can't blame the price tag on him because he doesn't choose the price tag, but it certainly is a ridiculous price tag. And we just need to see that next step of development for Antony. Can he go to that next level? Can he make that step? Now, being 23, 24 is a key stage in his career to do that. So yeah, a poor season by Antony. Amad hasn't played enough games, but I can't really rate him, to be honest. It'd probably be an average 6 if I was going to. And I think that concludes the video. A bit of a longer one today. Drop a like, comment and subscribe. Let me know which videos you want to see coming up in the future. We'll be doing some more topic videos. We'll be rating the season, talking about key players, season ratings, keep, loan, sell, much more. This has actually been the season rating video. Let me know which videos you want to see. Thanks for watching. Peace.